In our next phase, no, pag-usapan natin yung how I use the Filipino values, no, in interpreting yung sa passages in the Bible. This was presented do sa online na AGST Student Consultation 2022. Entitled Kagandahang Loob ni Jesus, Ministry of Altruism to the Centurion in Matthew 8:5-13. So, this research will focus on the Galilean ministries of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. So, yun yung narrow, no? Yung broad, yung mga ministry ni Jesus sa Galilee. And then, the Gospel of Matthew gagamitin natin. This paper uses sociological analysis, particularly on the value of altruism. So, yun yung methodology na gagamitin. The objectives of this research are to write a paper in the light of Asian values, and number two, to show that the Great Commission necessitates the proclamation of the gospel and social action. So, hindi naman mahirap yung goal, no, na para ma-achieve nito. So, altruism is the act of helping people in need without expecting anything in return. It comes when it is needed. It does not discriminate. Yung bang pipiliin mo, tutulungan ko lang ito kasi meron nitong may ano no, pwedeng balikan, pwedeng may kapalit, no? It is not self-seeking or does not delay. In addition to the general understanding of altruism, this research will also study altruism from the lens of the Filipino value of kagandahang loob. The word maganda refers to beautiful. The basic meaning of loob means inside or inner space. Connotatively, loob may refer to the human soul or mind or will. Yung loob ng tao. The ministries of Jesus conducted in Galilee can be considered manifestations of God's kagandahang loob. The key to understanding the study can be found in Matthew 9:36. When Jesus saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. So the ministries conducted in Galilee include healing the sick, feeding the crowds, and delivering people from the bondage of evil spirits. So the featured story in this presentation is the healing of the centurion servant. Kasi nga, maraming stories dun sa Galilean ministry ni Jesus, no? So the appeal of this research is to show that kagandahang loob results in social action, no? Yung value, ang result ng value ay social action, pagtulong sa kapwa, pag-alalay sa mga nanghihina. The mandate of making disciple of all nations should include the imperative of social action. Okay. So the need for altruism. Bakit ba natin to kailangan? Before I wrote this paper, I ensured that I would show altruism to someone so I might not be disqualified for the prize. It appears that there is a short supply of altruism these days. In his book, The Ways and Power of Love, Pitirim A. Sorokin laments that the roots of many of the world's wars and racial conflicts go back to the concept of exclusivity. He said, if unselfish love does not extend over the whole world, it is confined within one group, a given family, tribe, nation, lalo na ngayon, eleksyon, di ba? No? Or any part of humanity, such in group altruism, o yung pagtulong mo lang doon sa sarili mong pamilya or doon sa exclusive group na kinabibilangan mo, tends to generate an out-group antagonism or yung hindi pagpapahalaga sa iba. Dahil hindi ka kasali doon sa tinuturi mong exclusive group, no, inaayawan mo o may mababang pagtingin mo doon sa mga hindi kasali doon sa grupo mo. And the more intense and exclusive the in-group solidarity of its members, the more unavoidable are the clashes between the group and the rest of humanity. So Sorokin criticized a nature In the observation, altruism that looks only towards the needs of an in-group. From an ethnic level, it may lead to patriotism on the one hand, yung pagmamahal sa bayan, but racial discrimination on the other. Colin Grant shares in this observation saying, the ills of the contemporary life are largely traceable to a deficiency of altruism. Kawalan o kakulangan daw ng pagpapahalaga o pagtulong sa kapwa. Sa case ng research na to, kagandaang loob. Ang mga tao raw ay hindi nagpapakita ng kagandaang loob, which is a problem, no? No? To rephrase his statement, many of the societal problems would have been resolved if people were practicing altruism toward one another. At magkakaroon dito yung prevention ng mga gera, patayan, dahil nga nag-uunawaan at hindi lang yun, nagtutulungan at hindi nagpipintasan yung mga magkakaibang grupo, magkakaibang kampo. Any reader would wonder easily why the church, in its almost 2,000 years of history, allowed apathy and indifference to exist. Yung isang ugali, yung kawalan ng pakialam at yung pagpapahalaga lang sa sarili, no? I believe the missing piece is because altruism and social action may have been ignored or not given attention in our discipleship courses. At bakit nga ganon? Kasi when we talk about discipleship, lagi natin pinag-uusapan yung tungkol sa kaligtasan, yung tungkol sa pagsamba, tungkol sa Diyos, di ba? Trinitarian God, sino ba si Kristo? Siya ay Diyos at saka tao. Pero yung kagandahang loob, yung pagtulong sa kapwa, yung pagpapahalaga sa iba, hindi natin siya sinasama intentionally sa discipleship. Wala tayo halos makitang ganoon na pagkatapos nito, maghanap ka ng taong tutulungan mo. Diba? So this research is composed of 5 parts. The first part is a discussion on the definitions of altruism. The second part introduces the Filipino concept of kagandahang loob. The third part briefly describes Galilee as the place where Jesus ministered. Kasi yun yung part ng title Galilean Ministry. The fourth part is a discussion of the ministries of altruism. And then the fifth part concludes this research. Si Augusto Comte, the father of sociology, created the term altruiste in 1852. Altruism is related to the phrase alter ego, built up from two words, ego, which is the self, and then Latin or alter or to change, as in the English alteration. In Comte's mind, the adjective egoistic was taken negatively to mean self-centered or self-oriented. So si Augusto Comte, nakita niya in society na ang mga tao ay self-centered. Kapakinabangan lang natin ang ating iniisip. On the other hand, alter ego is other-oriented or concerned about the welfare of others. Nakita natin, no? The definition of altruism introduced by Comte was developed by sociologists. Definitions of altruism by authors can be divided into 4 groups. Kasi this is a survey of different definitions of altruism na nakita ko, no, that are available in publication. Kay Peter Singer, effective altruism is based on a very simple idea. We should do the most good we can. And again, hindi ito para sa sarili mo. No? Thomas Nagel, altruism is not abject self-sacrifice, but merely a willingness to act in consideration of the interests of other persons without the need of ulterior motive. Yung ulterior motive kasi pwedeng tutulong ka kasi gusto mo parang utang na loob, no? Tutulong ka para magkautang na loob sa yung tao. O kaya naman tutulungan mo siya kasi maganda siya o kaya marami siyang pera. o kaya malakas siya sa ano sa gobyerno. Ang altruism daw wala daw ganon. The second group of authors understood altruism as a motivation. Daniel Batson also defined altruism as a motivational state with the ultimate goal of increasing another's welfare. No? Pag bumuti raw yung kalagayan ng iba, yun ay isang motivation. Bumuti yung kalagayan ng iba. Ann Birgitta Pesci, altruism usually refers to actions that take other human beings into consideration. Actions concerned with the well-being of others. William Kornblum defined altruism as the ability to feel the pain of others and act on their behalf. Ang naalala nating word dito yung malasakit, no? Kasi merong pain sa iba na nakikita at yung pain na yon ay nai-imagine din ng tao para sa kanyang sarili. Pagmamalasakit, yun yung magandang word niyan. O malasakitan. Lynn G. Underwood also sees altruism built upon values such as agape, compassion, unconditional love, and self-giving love. No? Pagmamahal, ah, awa, tsaka pangunawa sa iba. The third group of authors describes altruism as cooperative behavior. Yan. So dito nakikita dito yung role ng tulungan, yung role ng community. John Pilch, a biblical scholar, explains altruism from the concept of sharing goods and unlimited resources. He said, altruism is an inescapable obligation incumbent upon more fortunate group members in society. Anyone with a personal surplus will normally feel shame and or be considered greedy or rapacious if that surplus is not shared with the less fortunate neighbors. No? Nakakatawa last Sunday kasi we had this uh, Pastor's Appreciation Sunday. No? At the church members, they bought us a cake. No? So merong cake na masarap. And that after the worship service, we had lunch together doon sa ground floor. At nakakatawa pagdating doon sa cake, no? Yung isang pirasong slice na lang na maliit, no? At alam natin ibig sabihin nun, di ba? Yung Pilipino daw laging nag-iiwan ng pagkain. Kinunan ko ba ng picture eh, no? Yung piece of cake na yon, no? Tapos sabi ko, oh, tingnan mo yung mga Pilipino talaga, di ba? So, bakit kasi ganun yung ano, di ba? Iniisip natin na baka meron pang hindi nakakain, di ba? Kaya kahit ako nung nag-i-slice ako ng cake, konti lang kinuha ko kasi iniisip ko kahit masarap yung cake, maubos agad. No? So ganun tayo, no? Yung gusto natin nababahaginan sa iba yung yung mga pagkain, yung sarap natin na titingnan niya. Christopher Baum differentiates nepotism from altruism. No? Kumbaga, how do you know it is you talk about the opposite, no? He describes nepotism as a helping behavior for family members or extra-familiar generosity. No? At sabi ko nga, yung sa atin sa political dynasty, no? Sa atin sa government, very, very expanded, no? Yung nepotism sa pagpapractice ng political dynasty sa Pilipinas. He notes altruism may refer either to acts of costly generosity towards specific unrelated note, no? Unrelated, hindi mo kaano-ano, hindi mo kilala, no? Wala kang pakikinabangan sa kanya, no? Individuals or to sacrifices of personal interests as the individual contributes to enterprises that benefit the community as a whole. Okay? Now, on the fourth group of authors saw that altruism can bring potential harm to the altruist. Na kung ikaw daw ay tulong ng tulong sa iba, ang tendency ikaw yung mawawalan. Okay? Yung resources na nire-reserve mo para sa sarili mo, dahil naibigay mo sa iba, ikaw ngayon yung nalugi, ikaw ngayon yung nagkaroon ng potential harm sa iyo. Kasi dapat mas marami kang kakainin na konti yung mo dahil sa pagtulong sa iba. Edith Wiscogrod an action favoring other individuals as at the expense of the altruist. No? Ganun nga, at the expense. Merong mawawalan dun sa nagpahayag ng kagandaang loob. No? Elliot Sober, an altruistic behavior enhances the fitness of someone else, yung recipient, at some cost in fitness to the donor. Dahil nga, doon sa concept ng mathematics, meron kang ibinigay, merong nawalan doon sa nagbigay, di ba? Nigel Barber, actions that help another individual at some cost to the altruist. So, ganun din. Merong nawala. Mateo Ricard, altruism is not mere action for an act cannot be counted as altruistic if it does not bear a risk and has no cost. He adds, it is the motivation that colors our actions. Hindi raw siya altruism kung hindi ka raw nasaktan doon sa pagtulong mo. Okay? Yung nawalan ka, hindi ka nasaktan, no? Hindi raw siya altruism, hindi raw siya kagandaang loob, no? Marahil meron pa ring selfish picture doon sa ano na, doon sa nakapaloob doon sa pagtulong, no? Yun nga yung bagay na sinusubukan nating iwasan, di ba? The keyword for the fourth group of definitions is self-sacrifice. Any amount of money, time, or effort devoted to altruism may be considered self-sacrifice. This for definite meron message, no? Do we ba? Ano, okay. Hold on na lang muna, no? Mapag ma, i, 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 ihang muna natin tong question na to, no? No? Meron talagang opportunity na mag-take advantage, no? Pastor Marl, yung ano, yung mga tumatanggap, no? Pero siguro i-hold muna natin 'yon for a later discussion. For now, intindihin muna natin yung ano, yung side ni Jesus, okay? Kung paano si Jesus ay nagpapakita ng kagandaang loob in the sense na ano, yung willingness niya to ano, to help others. Okay. These four definitional categories state altruism as a philosophy of a social movement, a motivational state, a cooperative action, and actions that can harm the altruist. Doon, siguro yun yung mas nakaka-capture yung question mo, Pastor Marl. Yung number 4. Pero again, i-hold muna natin yun for the time being. These definitions show the interconnected nature of altruism with the processes of the mind, emotion, and action. So altruism involves yung kabuuan ng buhay mo. Pinag-iisipan, nararamdaman, at ginagawa. Note that the fourth category of altruism can also cause harm to the altruist. In the mind of these authors, harm is part of the definition of altruism. No? Masasaktan ka talaga. That is part of what you're doing. For example, this harm might occur when selfish individuals who benefited from the altruist fail to return the favor. So, yung sinasabing walang utang na loob, no? Walang utang na loob, hindi nagpakita ng utang na loob kahit na siya ay tumanggap ng tulong, no? This is why altruists should be prepared to face potential loss, no? So dapat maging prepared ka. When you are about to help someone, dapat you're already thinking that you are putting yourself in harm's way, di ba? Frustration or even abuse from their benefactors. Pwede ka talagang i-take advantage. So I would infer that apathy or in Filipino, walang pakialam, exists in society because of the unwillingness of Christians to make sacrifices or to bear the pain for those in need. Ganun yung nangyayari. Other Christians become bitter because after helping other people, they expect something in return for their actions. So anong dapat gagawin? Pag meron tayong ibinigay na tulong sa iba sa pangalan ng Panginoon, hayaan na lang natin si Jesus ang mag-bless sa atin. Di ba? Para ng ganun, pag ibinigay mo, hindi tayo masasaktan. Pag hindi tayo, pag hindi nagpakita ng utang na loob or hindi bumalik sa atin yung tulong na gusto sana nating inaano, yung inaasahan sana natin. So let's talk about kagandahang loob as Filipino altruism. No? Kasi we're done with the definition. let's look into the Filipino value. And again, I want us to to look at yun sa no, yung book ni Virilio Enriquez, no, entitled From Colonial to Liberation Psychology, The Filipino Experience. And part here makikita natin yung mga values discussed as kalooban at pakikipagkapwa. But now, back to the research, having presented the definitions of altruism from sociologists and psychologists, I am now introducing the virtue of kagandahang loob to give voice to a Filipino way of altruism. This presentation does not attempt to express the definitive Filipino perspective of kagandahang loob, but merely to offer one such view among others. Kasi ang kagandahang loob ay pwede pa ring ipaliwanag sa iba-iba pang mga pananalita, di ba? To fully understand this virtue, the reader must first learn about two values, namely, loob at saka kapwa. So, yun yung synthesis, no? Iintindihin natin yung loob, iintindihan natin yung kapwa, mas maintindihan natin yung kagandahang loob. Now, about loob. Loob means inside as in loob ng bahay. Inside the house or loob ng bote, inside the bottle. Loob refers to the inner person or inner self as opposed to lamang loob, no? Internal organs. In 1974, Leonardo Mercado proposed, ito din, isa doon sa mga books ko dito. Okay na lang. Proposed that loob is an essential component in Filipino philosophy. He said that Filipinos understand the human person as an individual from two viewpoints, loob and the body. He compared the Tagalog loob with other major dialects such as the Ilocado Nakem, Visayan Buot, Kapampangan Lub, Pangasinense na Nunot, and Maranao na Amanat. No? How I wish. Sayang no, yung dito sana si Sasho. Love is the inner self, the core of one's personhood, and where the true worth of a person lies. Love is interpersonal, considers the kapwa, and is manifested through external behavior. Yun daw, pag kumilos yung loob, yun daw na nakikita yung galaw ng tao. Kasi, di ba, natutuwa ka, napapangiti ka, masama ang loob mo, nagagalit ka, o kaya naninigaw, di ba? Galit, di ba? Dionisio Miranda describes love as human interiority, the core of a person's consciousness. In general, he believes that it is hard to separate the Christian faith from the Filipino understanding of loob. Na yun daw pananampalataya, nag-ooperate daw siya sa kalooban ng tao. Okay? Now, let's talk about kapwa. The Tagalog Dictionary of Vito Santos renders kapwa as a fellow being. Kapwa is viewed as by the Filipino as connected with his or herself. The sense of interpersonalism with Filipinos considers the shared identities with their kapwa. No? Each individual is a tao and the other person is a kapwa-tao. As an important concept in the Filipino psyche, Enriquez mentioned that the understanding of kapwa begins in oneself. Ganito ang sinasabi ni Virilio Enriquez. A person starts having kapwa not so much because of a recognition of status given to that person by others, but more because of one's awareness of shared identity. Di ako or ego and iba sa akin, others, are one and the same in kapwa psychology. Hindi ako iba sa aking kapwa. I am no different from others. Once ako starts thinking of one's concerns as separate from kapwa, the Filipino self gets to be individuated in the Western sense and in effect denies the status of kapwa to the other. Nagiging self lang daw. By the same token, the status of kapwa is also denied to the self. Kasi nagiging other siya, nawawala doon yung shared identity ninyo. Di ba? Na kayo ay parehong may damdamin, kayo ay parehong may kagustuhan. Yung mga pangangailangan nyo ay nagkakapareho, nagugutom, nauuaw, nagkakasakit, inaantok, di ba? At napapagod. So from kapwa, the verb pakikipagkapwa means establishing a good relationship. Enriquez highlighted pakikipagkapwa as one of the important Filipino virtues. Pakikipagkapwa means accepting and dealing with the other person as an equal. Siya ay kapwa, kami ay magkatumbas. Di ba? If every individual possesses human dignity, then the kapwa-tao also shares same dignity. In pakikipagkapwa, fellow human beings disregard all the socio-political differences as race, gender, or educational attainment. Ganon natin inintindi ang kapwa. Kahit ang foreigner, kapwa yan. Diba? Kahit ang LGBTQ community, kapwa natin yan. Diba? So meron silang dignity, meron tayong dignity, meron shared dignity na dapat natin pinapahalagahan. Level Lanaria adds, kapwa has the imitations of equality, hence, pakikipagkapwa in its profound meaning is two co-equal persons relating to one another. Because kapwa is a shared or collective identity, the interests of the community outweigh personal interests. Kailangan meron tayong i-give up tungkol doon sa self, doon sa sarili. Kasi kino-consider din natin yung kapwa. This commitment to the kapwa as an equal companion shows that any person is forbidden from treating one's kapwa as an object that can be exploited or manipulated. Tawag natin doon ay panggagamit o kaya naman tinatrato na ano na dehumanize no yung iba by being used no yung panggagamit. Now sa kagandahang loob, Filipino sociologists and psychologists also have seen the interconnected link between the values of loob and kapwa. In a journal article entitled Loob and Kapwa, Jeremiah Reyes argues that these two values serve as pillars for a special collection of virtues which are not individualistic virtues. He also believes that the Filipino understanding of love is based on the view of Thomas Aquinas as substance in relation. For Aquinas, charity and justice are the two important virtues which are exercised by the will of a person to another person or towards God. No? Reyes also saw kagandahang love as character leading to acts of altruism. So, ano, no, nag-agree kami ni Jeremiah Reyes na ang kagandahang loob ay nagre-resulta, nagbubunga sa mabuting paggawa at pagtulong. Charmaine Galano adds that the acts of kagandahang loob can be equated to the practice of katarungan, justice or equity. The practice of kagandahang loob can be considered as the appropriate way for people to treat one another. So, failure to do so, hindi ka nagpakita ng kagandahang loob, is also to disregard justice and mutual respect. Yun yung perception ni Charmaine Galano. Now, Jose de Mesa and Rebecca Cacho said, the relational notion of kagandahang loob comes from two concepts, loob and ganda. The word ganda means beautiful. Beauty is being compared to goodness or goodwill. A person with a beautiful character is admirable. Any deed can be considered beautiful when done for the betterment of others. Enriquez adds, a display of kagandahang loob must have no motive save that of kindness and inherent graciousness. So, naalala natin dito yung definitions of altruism that were discussed earlier, no? Hindi siya nagkakaroon ng motive na para manguha ng utang na loob sa iba, 'di ba? Kagandahang loob reinforces their fellow being, natutulungan na pagtitibay, napapalakas, lalong napapaganda. Values such as caring about others, di ba? Encourages and establishes their human dignity. Kagandahang loob can be manifested into values. Caring about others, needs, malasakit, demonstrating respect for others, paggalang, helping others without expecting in return, tumutulong ng walang kapalit, living according to a humane principle, malinis na prinsipyo, and having the initiative to help others. Inisyatibong tumulong, no? Yung ano na, nakakita na ng opportunity. Sige, bangon na tutulong na doon. Okay? Now we move to another part. Galilee is the theater of the ministry of altruism. The Galilean ministry of Jesus comprises the central sections of the gospel, Matthew 8 until Matthew 15:39, which means hindi ko madi-discuss dito sa research na to yung ministries na ginawa sa Judea. In the section preceding the introduction in Luke 3:14 to 18:34 and the final half of Mark 1 until 9 verse 30. Kaya lang. In all three synoptic gospels, the authors embedded the narratives with teachings, parables, and pronouncements. The two primary locations in Matthew were Jerusalem and Galilee. Jesus Christ is identified as Jesus the Galilean, no? Matthew 26:69 and Luke 23 verse 6. According to Sean Prine, Galilean ministry is both historically important and theologically relevant. Jesus showed his disciples the condition of the crowds in Galilee were harassed, helpless, and without a shepherd. This reminds us the condition of scattered sheep depicted in the servant song. All we like sheep have gone astray. Isaiah 53 verse 6. Part A. For this reason, Jesus commissioned his disciples to do the same things that he did. He needed to replicate himself through them so that they could lead more towards him. Ang tawag natin doon discipleship. Okay? As most of the disciples were Galileans, they too shared the same rejection, that of Jesus. The following table shows the ministries of altruism in Galilee found in Matthew. Dito sa table na to, 'di ba? I put it into yung um different types of ministries. Doon sa first column are the healings, yung pagpapagaling. And then on the second column, exorcism, pagpapalaya sa masamang spirito. The third column is care for the marginalized. The fourth is feeding the multitudes. Pagpapakain sa sa libo-libong tao, no? So, doon sa healings, makita natin na mga natulungan dito yung ketongin, yung alipin o yung matalik na kaibigan nitong centurion. And then there is this paralytic, chapter 9, which is in parallel with Mark chapter 2. The ruler's daughter and a woman with hemorrhage, yung babaeng may sakit ng pagdurugo. There were also two blind men, a man with a withered hand, healed on a Sabbath. No? Sa exorcism, pagpapalayas ng masamang spirito doon sa dalawang lalaki sa Gadarenes. A man possessed by a demon, yung hindi makapagsalita. The daughter of a Canaanite woman na sinasapian ng masamang spirito. Now, there is also care for the marginalized. Jesus ate with tax collectors and sinners, disciples plucking grain on a Sabbath, Matthew 12, and then the feeding of the multitudes, 5,000, and then 4,000 sa magkabilang chapters, 14 and then 15. In these ministries, makita natin that Jesus is showing yung kagandahang loob niya. No, yung pagtulong, yung pagpapahalaga sa kapwa-tao. At pagpapalaya, yung mga taong dating inaalipin ng masamang spirito ay binigyan ng kalayaan. And then yung mga merong sakit ay pinagaling. And then yung mga nagugutom ay pinakain ng Panginoon. Habang yung mga binabaliwala sa lipunan, yung mga iniitsapwera, hindi tinuturing na mahalaga. Para kay Jesus, sila rin ay mahalaga. The Gospels portray Jesus as the suffering servant of Isaiah, who carried with himself the aches and pains, the tears and the fears, and the burdens of the people. Jesus was compassionate to the crowds because he saw them harassed and with no one to help them. The ministry of healings, exorcism, and feeding show that the altruism of Jesus involved everyone in society. Lahat ay may karapatang tulungan. Lahat ay may karapatang abutin. The Lord excluded no one. He reached out to men, women, children, to the sick, to the well, to the people in authority, the masses, to tax collectors, lepers, Gentiles, those who cannot see, those who cannot walk, they cannot talk or get up by themselves. Because of the limited time available, I will limit my study to the story of the healing of the centurion servant. Matthew 8, 5 to 13. Well, if you're going to ask, sir, nasa inyo iba? The rest are in my dissertation. So, healing of the centurion servant. The return of Jesus to Capernaum means he returned to his hometown after preaching the Sermon of the Mount. If you follow the context in sequence, this story also appears in Luke 7, 1 to 10 with some slight variations. Yung pagbaba ni Jesus from the mountain, a centurion came to Jesus for help. A centurion was a Roman officer with a middle rank who commands about 60 to 80 troops. The Roman legion may be composed of 4,800 infantry, including 120 soldiers on horseback. A legatus legionis was considered the supreme commander of one or more legions stationed in a province. At isang example na itong legatus legionis was si Pontius Pilate. No, siya ay isang legatus noong time ni Jesus. When we talk about the centurion, there are 5 accounts of the centurions in the New Testament. So Matthew 8, verse 8 to 13, Luke 7, 2, which is about the healing of the centurion servant. And then Matthew 27:54, Mark 15, Luke 23, verse 47, about the centurion of the cross. And then Acts 10 refers to the centurion si Cornelius, ministered ni Peter by a vision. They both receive a vision. Acts 22:25, ito yung centurion who was guarding Paul. Di ba? And then Acts 27:1, ito yung centurion si Julius. So meron siyang name from the Augustan cohort na nag-assist kay Apostle Paul hanggang sa makarating sa Rome. The Lucan story tells us that the centurion was a friend of Jews. For he loves our nation and it is he who built our synagogue. Luke 7:5. So, part ito yung reduction criticism. The servant of the centurion was suffering a terrible form of paralysis, a sort of a mental illness, from the root na basanizo. Following the narrative sequence, it appears that Jesus had just come down from the mountain and just arrived in his hometown. Jesus may have walked a long way on foot. A leper came and Jesus healed this man. After healing the man with leprosy, this centurion came to him. Sunod-sunod yung paglapit nila. Jesus said to the centurion, I will come and heal him. With this response, yung nag-respond yung centurion, yung response ni Jesus doon sa centurion, we can see the willingness of Jesus to help people in need. And note that this person he is helping is a foreigner, a Roman officer. And when we think of a post-colonial understanding, this is between the colonizer at saka yung colonized, 'di ba? Yung mga sinakop at yung mga nanakop, 'di ba? A person with empathy would feel a sense of urgency, and would not waste time until he or she can provide the help that is needed. 'Di ba? Hindi mapakali hangga't hindi nakakatulong. If Jesus delayed here, the servant may have died. So ito yung parang yung tumatawag ng ambulansya, 'di ba? Kasi very very urgent yung need. The centurion said to Jesus, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. During his stay in the Jewish country, the centurion was already familiar that Jews do not enter into the house of Gentiles. No? Peter stated this tradition to Cornelius, a centurion. Peter said in Acts 10:28, you yourself know that it is unlawful for a Jew to associate with or visit a Gentile. The Jews believe that they will be ceremonially unclean once they enter the house of a Gentile or eat with them. The centurion might have heard how Jesus commands sickness to flee, just as what happened to the leper previously, Matthew 8, 1 to 4. So the centurion believed that the process of commanding Roman soldiers would be the same as the commanding the sickness to leave from the body. Hindi nga lang siya tao. Kung hindi, isa siyang entity, yung inuutusan yung sakit, na umalis, nakagaya rin ng pag-utos ng isang opisyal sa kanyang sundalo. So, Roman soldiers were very disciplined and obedient to their officers. The centurion said, when I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes. Moreover, the centurion believed that Jesus has the authority to command healing even at a distance, no? Kayang gawin ng Lord 'yon. Yun yung paniniwala, ito yung faith nung centurion. If we follow this principle in our daily prayer life, then our prayers for those who are sick, no, with COVID kasi nung time na to, 2022, are not in vain. Ibig sabihin, merong power doon sa panalangin natin when we pray for people. And our prayer also for Ukraine, no, is not in vain, yung ongoing war. Jesus said, truly I tell you, I have found no one in Israel with such great faith. Verse 10. Such a statement coming from Jesus may have also surprised the witnesses, no? Because the centurion was a Gentile and a pagan. According to Craig Evans, no? The centurion if the centurion helped build the synagogue, it is also possible that itong centurion na to was also listening to the words, no, na ipinapangaral dito sa synagogue na tinulungan niyang maitayo. The centurion was seen more faithful compared to all other Jews kasi yung napapakinggan niya, he took it by heart, no? And maraming mga Hudyong nakikinig din doon. So Jesus honored the centurion before everyone because he trusted in what the Lord can do. In addition to being concerned with the well-being of kapwa, altruism is also appreciative of others. Egoism brags on self-achievement. Jesus did not say, I am great. Oh, kita nyo, galing ko, di ba? Because I am God. What he said was, you have great faith. No? Kinonfirm niya yung pananampalataya na meron yung centurion. Jesus also assured the centurion of a trustworthy saying, truly, which was equivalent to amen in Hebrew. In this case, amen means there is no reason to doubt the sincere faith of the centurion. Kagandahang loob is a virtue of sincerity. We can also take note a reversal in the idea of welcome or hospitality. The centurion was ashamed of bringing Jesus into his house. Diba? Nahihiya siya eh. Because of his unworthiness. Instead of him welcoming Jesus in his home, it was Jesus who gave the centurion a welcome to the Christian faith. Sabi niya, no? Well done because you have good, yung meron kang sincere faith, no? So another way of saying welcome to the family of the of Christians, no, to the family of God. Though he came from another tribe and religion, Jesus declared him a part of the family of God. I tell you, many will come from the east and west and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Jesus did not ask the centurion for anything. Note, no? Pagkatapos noon, umalis na yung centurion, hindi humingi ng kapalit si Jesus. The Lord just wanted to help. Ang pagpapakita ng ating Panginoong Hesus ng kagandahang loob ay dahil gusto niya lang tumulong dito sa taong ito na nangangailangan. Finally, Jesus assured the centurion that his request has been granted. Go! Let it be done as you believe. Kagandahang loob also includes assuring people. The servant of the centurion was healed from a near-death experience from his paralysis and mental illness. People can read the story theologically. Jesus is our healer. And he is able to command sickness to flee, even from a distance. Craig Skinner also invites the readers from a missional perspective. Skinner said, by including this story from his source, Matthew encourages his Jewish Christian readers in the Gentile mission. Diba? Even a single exception should be enough to challenge racist stereotypes. Huwag daw tayong tumulong dun lang sa mga kayang tumulong sa atin. From a socio-political view, Jesus was aiding the Roman officers, the colonizers, and national enemies of the Jews. Bakit ba tayo tutulong dyan? Makakaaway natin yan. But for Jesus, everyone deserves a chance, even for centurions who work for the oppressors of the Jews. The activities of Jesus in the ministries of Galilee are both missional and altruistic. Closing. Altruism can be considered as a philosophy, a motivational state, and a sense of obligation to assist others in need. Altruism also includes self-sacrifice and the willingness to bear the pain or loss. The Filipino value of kagandahang loob highlights the good character within us. Kagandahang loob allows us to empathize with one another and see ourselves as channels of blessing to this broken world. When Jesus saw the crowds, he wanted to help them. The Lord commissioned his disciples to go into the harvest field. Jesus set an example for mercy and kindness. The following questions often challenge us the way we do ministry. Are we only going to minister to the soul and not to the body? Mag-evangelize lang ba tayo para sila ay ma-born again? Are we going to help only those who can help us back? Pag nakakita tayong kayang tumulong sa atin, sila lang ba ang tutulungan natin? Are we afraid to bear pain or make sacrifices for others? Jesus showed kagandahang loob to the centurion and his servant. Following the definitions of Wiscogrod, Barber, and Ricard, altruism involves a personal willingness to bear pain or loss. Yung question mo kanina, Pastor Mal kanina, it is accepting. Kailangan ikaw ay, alam mong ikaw ay mawawalan, merong magiging masakit sa iyo. Dahil yun ay pagtulong eh. Altruism as an element of voluntary sacrifice. Jesus did not delay in helping a person whose life was in danger. Jesus did not help the centurion because he was seeking the favor of the Romans. Kabaliktaran pa nga, yung mga Romans pa nga nagpapatay sa kanya eh. There was no bargaining of give and take in kagandahang loob. Kagandahang loob is helping even when you do not expect anything in return or utang na loob. The kagandahang loob of Jesus is case of social action that is free from the class struggle ideology. So hindi natin kailangan tingnan ito from a Marxist point of view, which is again Western. The kagandahang loob of Jesus is case of social action that is free from the bias of anti-rich or anti-imperial principles. Diba? Hindi natin to gagawin dahil kailangan pabagsakin natin yung mga nagyayaman, hindi ganon. Not all social activists are necessarily Marxists. This is why our ministries should not be confined only to preaching but also to reaching out to the sick, feeding the hungry, and liberating others from all forms of oppression. If I'd be given the chance to appeal, we should start in humility and unlearn many things that may hinder us from helping those in need. When we give to others, we are not bitter because we know that God will always outmatch our giving. Pag tumulong tayo sa iba, nangangailangan, huwag kang mag-alala. Kayang tapatan ng Lord yung pagtulong mo. Finally, Jesus said, go and make disciples. But he also said, we should teach everything he commanded us to do. That the commission also includes performing kagandahang loob, pagtulong sa iba. So that's it. Inabutan na rin tayo ng time, pero ano ang inyong mga feedback doon sa ating napag-usapan? Ayun, Pastor Mal, nasagot ko yung tanong mo ha. No? Hindi man siya directly, pero ayok na meron na. May na-capture tayo doon. Others po?
Sa siguro maidadagdag ko lang din po na yung altruism is ano rin po no, tinuturoan tayo maging yung magkakaroon ng importance of selflessness and acting for the benefit of others. So, hindi lang para sa iyo, kundi naiisip mo din yung kalagayan ng ibang tao. Yun yung parang isa sa nakikita ko rin po na part ng altruism. Meron din po ako nakita na kasabi nila na kapag ka hindi daw maganda ang pakiramdam mo o yung mood mo is ano daw hindi ka in good mood. Sabi nila ano ka go for altruism. Yan yung isa sa nakita ko po na. Sumagi lang sa newsfeed ko po yun eh. Yung ganun. Yan po.
Okay, thank you. Others?
Ah, yan.
Si Kuya Jim muna, si Kuya Jim.
Naalala ko, sir, yung si Jim at Elizabeth Elliot na nung mga mga 50s ay yung mag-asawa ay were missionaries sa Ecuador, visiting native Indians sa Ecuador. And they were bringing the gospel to the natives. Um, na one time si Jim Elliot and four others were were killed or massacred ng mga Indians dahil yung alam naman natin na misinterpret ng itong mga cannibal Indians na ito na na ang Christianity was about cannibalism. Gawa nga. Para kung makikita nyo during the first century, ang mga Christian were accused of being cannibals. Gawa nung Lord's Supper natin. At ganun din, but ang nakita ko doon ay yung kanyang asawa, learning na nung hindi na nasagot sa ang asawa niya at yung kanyang team ng mga missionaries, she still continued to go back to that native the tribes, and for 2 years she stayed there sa Ecuador mountains na yon, at siya ay nagpakita ng talagang fruits of the Holy Spirit yung kay Elizabeth Elliot, na pinakita niya yung ang isang act of worship niya, yung act of altruism niya sa mga Indians yun. Although she learned to learn the language, tapos saka lang nila naintindihan yung pagdadala rin ng gospel, at the same time yung charity and mercy ay nandoon pa rin, at hindi niya naging sa kanya to turn against those Indians na kumain sa kanyang asawa. Kinain talaga ang mga cannibals yung pero kita mo hanggang throughout itong si Elizabeth Elliot ay nagpakita ng fruits of the Holy Spirit, yung kindness, yung niya, mga pag-ibig sa mga taong ah, na hindi maintindihan yung kultura ng Western at yung kultura nila as a tribe yung panahon yun. Na inaano ko nga laging sa yung ngayon yung lately yung mga 1970 mga philosophy of language, parang ganun din yung ang ano ng mga tao ngayon eh, pag ikaw ay meron kang picture, pinake na picture, ang respond ng yun, ikaw mag-interpret, not the painter, but the one who is looking at the painting. Ayun ang isang na magandang na minsan ay, nag nagkakaroon ng discrepancy sa yung bridging up culture sa between two kinds of people na from boundaries to boundaries na ganun. Kaya napaka na kanina nakikinig ako about in relation dito sa sinabi ni Pastor Abby, yung liberation theology, eh, ibang klaseng freedom yun. Freedom na inaano ng sa oppression, sa social at saka economic oppression, eh, minsan nagiging pakitang tao. Pero nakita ko dun sa ibang mga missionary, Christian missionaries, they won't want anything in return sa mga missionaries na ito, like na si Jim at saka yung kanyang asawang si Elizabeth Elliot at saka yung four others na kasamang namatay ni Jim Elliot. Yan lang, sir.
Yes, thank you sa pag give ng parallel example, no. Thank you, Kuya Jim. Sino pa yung sumunod? Hello? So,
Ako, sir.
sige, Kuya Francis, sige, go on.
Sir, di ba tayo kasi, sir, bilang tao, basically, tayo, selfish. Una lagi natin ang ating sarili. So, medyo malayo talaga tayo sa pagiging altruistic. Pero nung tayo po yung naging Kristiyano, unti-unti tinuturuan po tayo ng Panginoon. Ang nais niya, unahin po natin yung ating pong kapwa bago ang ating sarili. So, yun nga po yung ah, direksyon ng bunga ng banal na spirito. Kindness, ah, pagiging sa ating pong kapwa. So, yun po. Meron lang po akong tanong, sir.
Yes, please.
Regarding naman po kay Robin Hood. Ang intention po niya ay talagang tumulong. Pero, kinukuha niya yung tulong niya sa maling paraan. Oo. Pero ang intent niya ay tumulong talaga doon sa mga nangangailangan, sa mga bata. Yun po, ano po yung comment niyo po kay Robin Hood? Kasi maganda yung intention niya eh.
Di, yan, di ba? Ano yun? Using evil for good, eh. Parang ganun yung dating, di ba?
Opo, opo.
Using evil for good, eh. Ah, or all, the end justifies the means na pagtulong naman ang ginagawa mo, kahit magnakaw ka, tama na rin ang ginawa mo. Ganun yung niya, yung
Opo,
philosophy
parang
niya, eh.
ganun nga po.
Eh, siguro mga extreme cases pwede siyang i-apply. Oh. Within the Christian lang, ha? Kahit tayong mga Kristiyano, pwede siyang i-apply kung merong extreme cases. So, wala akong masyadong maisip na extreme case ngayon, eh. Yun nga lang, hindi siya kagandang loob. Pagtulong siya, yes. We know may pagtulong na involved doon. Pero, ah, ano kasi, mahirap kasi tawaging gray area yung kagandang loob, eh. Alam mo yun? Paano mo masasabing maganda yung kalooban ng tao kung um, meron kang grupo. Siyempre, sasabihin naman nila, itong mga mayayamang ito na inatake ni Robin Hood, ano naman they deserve to be punished kasi kinuha naman nila yan through selfish gains. May mga ganong justification. Pero sa kagandahang loob kasi walang justification, eh. Ang alam ko lang dito, kung ano yung meron ka sa kamay mo, ipantulong mo. Kung gusto mo pang tumulong, mag-pray ka. Diba? Hindi yung So, siguro ganun ko na lang i-summarize yung no? Kung wala tayong pantulong, nakikita naman ng Lord yun. Minsan, ganun talaga di ba? Nakakaiyak, lalo na nung time nung COVID pandemic. No? Meron tayong kasama, mamamatay. Okay, nakita natin na nawala ng buhay ng ganyan. Gusto nating tumulong. Wala talaga tayo resources, eh. Magnanakaw tayo. Madja-justify ba nun yung Hindi, yung kalooban ng Diyos ang nangyari. Ibig sabihin, namatay yung tao na hindi natin natulungan. Pero yung hindi natin natulungan, yun ay hindi dahil ayaw nating tumulong. Wala tayong pantulong, eh. Wala tayong pantulong. At yung question mo nga, Kuya Francis, naisip ko, very relevant yan doon sa poverty situation na marami sa Pilipinas. Pero we do not uh, limit the power of prayer. Yun yung tayo. we stand dun sa pwedeng gawin ng Diyos through prayer. At kaya naman ini-endorso natin ang pananalangin sa maraming tao. Sige. Sige, thank you. Ilan na lang, no? John, si Abby,